Hey guys, Kid here, Burn One, joined with Nico.
Hey, what's up, guys?
We're doing a deck profile on Nico's Bang Dream list. This is mostly going to be like only relevant to English, right? Since JP just released a new set, which kind of changes everything. Um,
Yeah, so this list
yeah,
was made for JP before Bang Dream Volume 2 released.
yeah. So this is something like people can look at for, I guess, Team League is coming up, the trios event for Springfest. So they can, if they're thinking of bringing Bang Dream, they can probably look at this. They want something new and spicy to, I guess, take to Springfest. So I mean, let's just get into it. Start with the zeros, I guess, or how do you want to do
Uh,
this?
sure, yeah, we can just start. We'll just go level by level.
All
So
right.
for the zero lineup, we have two of the Stock Bomb, one of the Misaki Shimikai and Soul Pumper on play, one of the Drop Searcher Kokoro, one of the Drop Salvager and Mill 2 Saya, three Remy Top Self Salvage Brainstorm, one Dig 3 Arsa, three of the Renko coin flippers, three Cosmi anti runners, and one of the Climax Ditcher Cosmi.
Okay, yeah, and I think we talked about this earlier. For at least your level zero game plan, for the most part, you like everything as is, but you said you were talking about removing Misaki and just playing a second Kokoro drop search, right?
Yeah, literally. So this wasn't super serious when I made the list, so the Masaki's only in there because I had it in SP. I think if you're legitimately making something for Bang League, you're probably ditching it to either put in another Kokoro, which I would recommend just because we're already kind of skimping on the yellow in this list. Or if you, for whatever reason, like really like running four brainstorms, you can make that your fourth brainstorm.
Yeah. Then if you do that though, then the yellow gets kind of tight a little bit, especially for your level one game.
Yep.
Um, is there a reason you play the 3K anti runner instead of anything else that in that slot, or is that like a flex slot for you? So like you can play anything
It's a
you.
flexible
Yeah.
slot just because of a lot of the times now. Just even in JP meta, because this is what I originally built it for was JP.
Mm-hmm.
Runners are pretty good. This kind of really also shits on Fate a lot. If they decide to do a greedy play, like Brainstormer in the front row on first turn, and then the Clock Encore in the back. If they decide to Clock Encore their Brainstorm when you play the anti runner in front of it, they can't actually move it. So that's pretty much a really hard minus for them.
Yeah, and then you also plus off of it the fact that the only way they get to kill your anti runner is if they overplay it, right? So
Yep.
yeah, which is really sucks.
And the 3K isn't really that bad because I know a lot of anti runners are 3-5 on play and stuff, just because a lot of times you'll also be having the Brainstormer.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll typically be 3-5. So there's
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Generally, if you decide to go with this level zero, you kind of the only thing you kind of open yourself up to is like clean cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then any reason you only go three coin flip instead of four? I feel like coin flip's such a powerful card.
It's really powerful, but like I wanted the other stuff in there if that makes sense.
Yeah, to be fair, you want more of that selectivity stuff going on. I mean, how important do you think the level zero stock bomb is? It lets you just play like cheeky plays at
So
one, right?
honestly, it's there for cheeky plays, but even then, a lot of the times the plays aren't so cheeky just because they just give you more options that you can do, right? So you can deny stuff at one, you can deny stuff at three. Um, Stock bomb is also still a good effect to get rid of pesky level zeros, and you also need yellow. That's another big reason. And yellow doesn't have a lot of kind of like flexible fits into everything level zeros outside of like a few cards like this, so that's why you run it.
Yeah, the extra stock that it provides never really like a game changer, right? Though.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a little bit more of a flex spot, I guess, but it's still like it has two good effects on one card. So right.
So that's the kind of the thing. I wouldn't even like classify it as a flex spot unless you want to like just change that to the drop searcher entirely,
Oh yeah.
because you just kind of need the yellow. That's kind of the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. I guess we'll move on to level one here. This has like the spicy stuff, so I go ahead and let you go into it.
Sure. So for the level ones, we just have three of the Twin Drive Kokoros, four of the Christmas Costumes, four of the Mill event, something in the warehouse, and then three of the Toilet event.
All right, so like first thing going on here, a lot of people are probably gonna see is be like, "Hey, this is like a three color level one game." Are you sure?
So it is, but it isn't because Toilet. is not something you have to play down.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. You like if you draw into toilet, you don't immediately have to play it down and get value off of it.
Yeah.
So for your level 1 game plan, a lot of the times you're going to be prioritizing getting either red or yellow into your level 1 game depending on how your hand's shaping up. Um, since you run a predominant amount of red, if like you can level yellow at 1 and then you have some like red spillover into clock, you are like super set because you don't even really need level 3 until, well, not sorry
Blue,
about that.
yeah.
You don't need blue until level 3 rather.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of time to find it. And then, is there any particular reason you went with only 3 Kokoro? Because since I run a similar list, I went with the 4 of Kokoro, level 1.
I think it may have been a mistake. You probably start cutting irritating girl first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a malleable spot. You can start cutting irritating girl for like the other things. So if you want 4 Kokoros, you can. But a lot of the times, for your level 1 play, you're prioritizing usually playing the Christmas Kasumi. Unless like something has gone wrong and you can't find the climax. So I figure 3 is enough because at most you'll only be having like 1 or 2 on the field. Like a good level 1 field is probably something like 2 of the Kasumis, 1 of the Kokoros. So
Yeah. And then, how did you end up on like the level 1 Kokoro? Like, what do you feel like it brings to the deck instead of having something else there in that spot?
just because like for level 1, a lot of the times you don't really have anything really, I would say, better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess your other level 1 options is like a bottom decker, which seems kind of eh. The Suicider, which power pumps, which is neat, but we don't really care about like
The power
truly
game.
winning at
Yeah.
level 1 because we're not running Fever, so that's doesn't bring too much to our table either. Kokoro is just 6/5 on your turn, which is pretty good, and if you play with a Climax, it's 7/5, gets the AK with a Brainstorm, so it's got pretty decent power for a 1/0. Lets you just get better triggers and more pluses when you trigger your climaxes. So that's kind of why you run it there.
Yeah, and it just on top of that, it keeps your stock clean as well, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like if you just paying out climaxes with the twin drive feels really really good, especially if you like hit a gate or something, salvaged a character, and then you just pay it out.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, to get back a little bit on the irritating girl, the Arissa event, like, why did you decide to have this in the deck at all?
So in general, it helps a lot with your level 3 game. Just because you already don't spend too much stock, but being able to like plop down double Yukina and then an Alisa or a Musashi to go along with it just feels really really good. Even though it never kills anybody, it still feels good.
Oh yeah, and then so the event gets you there for the stock to make sure you can do like double Yukina or
Yeah.
yeah and stuff like that. Oh, and then I guess yeah.
Yeah, and lets you keep hand too.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then move on to level 2 here. You see some of the normal things we'd see there, right? Like the 2/1
Yeah,
Saya
so the
event.
level 2 is really, really small. So we just have the 2/1 level support that turns off your opponent's backups and events. Since you're running 9 events in this list, you may as well play it. The other card we run is the 2/1 Suicider, that on attack you can pump something up by 1500 times X. X is the number of events in your waiting. This just lets your stuff just randomly kill other stuff, and it's a early play killer, which is nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of almost like a 2-for-1 basically, because you
Yeah,
usually have like what 4 events in the waiting room when this goes off.
yeah, you have 4 events, and then
Yeah.
for whatever reason, like you can try to mill down your deck because a lot of the times you'll be having like something in the warehouses in your hand. So if you desperately need power pump for something, you can like mill your deck and get most of your events into waiting room, and then just on attack power pump something absurd by like 10k or something. So
Yeah, so this can kind of handle like early plays and make your level 1 game defeat like standby decks with like 2/2s that are like 13k or like 10/5, right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful effect that this card has. And then last but not least,
Last but not least, we were on 2 of the stock swap events because we like winning the game.
yeah. So like this just sets up.
It's like the best neg one in the game. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you don't need it in the matchup, obviously you just don't keep it in hand. It's pretty simple.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then move on to level 3 here. It's pretty
So
standard.
level
So
3, yeah, it's kind of standard, but there's a lot of one ofs. It's very kind of like you grab these kind of as you need it. So for this list, we ran one Hagami Bouncer, one Musashi, one early play Saya, four Yukinas, and one Lisa. If I had to start off by saying anything, I think the Saya, the early play Saya, was a mistake. In English, since this is kind of what this would be for, we probably cut this and we play the 3-2 Arsa that semi-aquas your opponent instead, just because it's, in general, it's a lot better.
Yeah,
The games I've played with this deck, like I don't think I've actually played down the Saya at all at level 2. Like it just never seemed like the right play. So it doesn't really earn its spot, but it was in the list for at the time.
yeah, and just so people who only play English who aren't aware of the Japanese, there's actually a ban list for Bang Dream. It has Buns of Luck on it, along with the level 3 Arista that forces your opponent to refresh with one less climax, and then the 2-1 free fresh counter, the 2-1 Arista free fresh counter. So that's the reason you don't see all those other cards in this deck. Otherwise, if there was no ban list, like you said, for English, you would have the level 3 Arista, right?
Yeah, and that's a lot, 100%.
Yeah, you think you'd try to fit the free fresh in as well, or what do you think?
So my reason for not really fitting in the free fresh, at level 2, which is when you kind of really need to make use of the free fresh,
Yeah.
you're not gonna be winning board enough, I think, especially against the meta decks, to where the free fresh will actually be valuable. So
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
just don't think you run it. Especially like if you're running against standby decks, like you're never keeping board. So
That makes sense. But yeah, and then besides that, your level 3 game's pretty much standard. You play the Hagumi, like you said, with the bounce like problematic cards.
yeah, you bounce priority targets like the Futaba and Bunny Girl. Against Goblin Slayer, you just bounce anything to turn off their 3/3 events, so on and so forth.
Yeah. I think that is it with the deck. Does anything special you want to note about the deck itself?
It runs really, really well. It's pretty malleable to kind of your taste. Like I said, a lot of the cards you can cut for your own preference. Like if you don't like the anti-runner for whatever reason, you can play like the Chisato or some other profile in there that you like for whatever reason. Like you like the Sayo bottom decker, you can play that in its slot instead.
Yeah, if you start tweaking with cards like that, though, make sure to keep track of your ratios on colors.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, you really need to. You can't really tweak the yellow too much, and I don't think if you're trying to mold this deck for Japanese, I don't think they added enough decent like level 0 yellows to where you can really tweak it. So,
all right, but yeah, I guess that's it. Any last words about anything?
yeah, Mocha gets you there. She actually doesn't though. They actually just always cancel on 3, so don't play Mocha.
Oh man. All right, with that, we'll let you guys go. See you guys in the next video. Later. Before you go, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel if you do enjoy our content, as it does help us grow, and check out some of these social media links below.